Peace and greetings, beautiful people. I hope you guys have wonderful holidays. It is now 2020, so Happy New Year, prosperous and with blessings and all that stuff. Um, I'm gonna participate in Anthony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. However, this year I'm not gonna do like one. I'll probably split it up into a few videos. I'm not gonna do one every day. Um, but I did want to participate since I have been participating for the past, like, I don't know, 3 years now or 4 years or something like that. I will separate out this video for one video for the tarot goodies. I'm recording this ahead of time, so once I get my, my holiday goodies all together, I'll make a separate video on that. My top 5 decks of 2019. So as far as tarot decks go, I typically, when I do top, I tend to look at which ones I use the most. And essentially this year, the top 2 I do know for sure is Tabula Mundi, because I have the app too. So if I don't have a deck on hand for whatever reason, I can always pull out that app. So that tends to make my usage of that deck go up. The original Rider-Waite Smith with the Lilybacks. That was my second most used deck. And then my Dodal Robledo was my third used deck. So one from every school, or kind of like my top 3 as far as usage. Now, as far as like top purchases that I really like enjoyed. So there are really 2 purchases as far as tarot decks go. Well, 3. The Light Seers Tarot is a really beautiful, diverse deck. It came with a whole lot of, other drama when it was first released and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. So I haven't as a moderator on the Tarot Nerd group, that back end stuff was nasty. I'll just say it that way. And so that kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm just kind of sitting tight on utilizing that deck for a while until I could kind of, heal a little bit. But I think the deck is beautifully made. So, that's all. Aside from that, all of that other stuff is more politics, I guess you could say. The other deck, or one of the other decks here, is the Wayward Dark Tarot by, who makes this? It's Pixel Occult, I think. Forgive me, my friend, for having a really bad brain fart right now. Anyways, it looks like this. It's monochromatic. It comes in a tin. It's an Etsy deck. Only thing that I don't like about it is that it's super glossy, but I love the graphic design on this deck. I think it's really dope. It is Thoth based. And so there's not too many. There are some Thoth based decks out on the market, but there's not too many of them. I thought that this was a really good deck to do kind of that sort of transfer. I mean, it was pretty spot on and up front with me too while I was using it, so I thought that was great. And it's funny because I purchased both of these decks towards the end of the year, but these are the ones that kind of popped out to me and like read really well for me. So I look forward to still utilizing them in 2020. The next deck is the Hayworth Tarot. And as inexpensive as this deck is, it is, I did do a walkthrough not that long ago. Again, I got this one towards the end of the year, but I had like that instant like chemistry with it. So I thought it was really cool. It's like Waite Smith based. So even if you don't understand like what Welcome to Night Vale is, and I explained that in my other video too, you do get the otherworldly feel from it. and it's just right up my alley. And I think the pastel colors with the whole otherworldly things going on in the card images just makes it more fun to play with, I think. So that's what's going on with that there. Oh, like, look at the sun card. Isn't that cool? Oh, and I really love how, I think for me, because I'm a tropical earth sign, my sun sign is earth. I think how they did, here's the moon card. I think how they did the discs or the pentacles, or either way, however, I switch between saying them both, so get familiar with that. They did it kind of like these little black holes, like these little voids. Why can't I find one? Ugh. Okay, here. Ten of Pentacles. That's probably not the best one to show that void thing. But I think it was just really innovative because, right, we talk about the earth being like deep and growing roots and all that stuff. But then when you see it, like, where's that 6 at? Here. Or like, there's just so many different voids. You know, some people talk about vanity and how people can get sucked into that. You know, people tend to overdo and overwork. You could get sucked into that. I mean, there's a deeper thing going on as to why those things become, why they suck you in. And there is a little bit materialism in it, but it's not, and it's not to like pass judgment, but we all go through human experience, right? So you hear like the 6 of Pentacles, there's like hands coming out of the black holes. It's like crazy. It's so, I really love this deck. I think it's so cool. So yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, but I definitely got on with it. So that, you know, I would say those two, as far as like purchases and me getting on with them, like right away, those 2 decks and the Light Series too. But like I said, I have to like sit back from that one for a little while. My top 5 Oracle decks. So when I did 31 Days of Tarot for 2019, I had picked like 5 Lenormand decks that I really wanted to work with, and the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, which I have worked with throughout the entire year. So it was the Reign of George Lenormand, the 1889 Lenormand, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, and I have the Destroyed Dondorf Lenormand. So that's like your classic Lenormand deck. And I think I've kind of been rotating between those. I feel like I'm missing. Oh, and the Sylvie Steinbach Lenormand deck. So those have been like my top Oracle decks that I've used. What has tarot taught me from 2010 to 2019? It just helped me to get to quicker check myself, or quicker, you know, understand what it is that I need to do, or understand how I'm feeling. You know, sometimes you can't put emotions or thoughts necessarily into words, and tarot kind of helped me figure that out and make some changes and make some moves. And it's been a real great healing tool, really great for insight and I mean, hell, even tarot history, like all that stuff. But like in the grand scheme of things, it brought me community, and it brought me a platform where I can voice my opinions and I can share my knowledge that, you know, back in the 90s or the early 2000s, you know, what was in many places, it's still taboo to even talk about. So, you know, it was something that I always studied, I always did. I just didn't talk about it because everybody wanted to talk about, I don't know, other stuff. So it was really cool when I met somebody that gave that hint, you know, that they knew what you were talking about, or you gave them the eye, like you knew what they were talking about, and then you have that little connection. So it was very more like hush hush. Well, now it's kind of more out there. It's even becoming more mainstream, which I find interesting and unique. But again, there's a balance, because there's so much more to it than just the consumerist side of things. There's you know, with tarot, there's two sides. There's tarot for tarot, and the mythical and human experiences that the images represent, and then there's also art appreciation, right? And the perspective that this art allows us to connect with or experience the same archetype in a different kind of way. So there are two things. It can seem consumeristic, but if you go to an art museum and you stand and you look at, art paintings, you're getting feelings, you're getting an experience, you're getting a story. So, tarot, let tarot people. That's it. I just feel like, you know, if you're just a collector, just to collect the art and you like art appreciation, do that. If you're gonna read, do that. But just kind of know, there's different sections. And I'm speaking to people who are like more asking me. I've been getting asked a lot of questions about learning tarot and things like that. And I'm just trying to let you know that there are different kind of approaches or ways of like coming at it, and some people are very aware. Some people are like, no, I'm just a collector, I don't even read, I just like the art. And then there's other people who collect with intention and all that other kind of stuff. So sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but but if there's an appreciation out there for it, hey, I'm all about that. And like I said, it brought me community and a platform to talk about what I know and my journey and all that kind of stuff. So it's been great. It's been really healing on so many levels that I'm really appreciative that tarot came into my life, honestly. What decks am I anticipating in 2020 and why? So I have a very small wish list for 2020, and I do not, so this is going to be a no buy year for me. So I'm not going to purchase any tarot decks. Mark my words, I'm not buying any tarot decks in 2020, okay? I'm so dead serious. If somebody wants to give me something, I'm okay with gifts, but I'm not going to buy anything. I kind of have so I'm trying to shift my focus a little bit, and I have I have plenty to explore, plenty to go through and deal with, and, there's plenty for me there. It is curated according to my interests and all that kind of stuff. So in 2020, I don't plan on buying any decks, folks. I think I've come to a happy place with my collection, really, for the most part. I think I'm missing like 2 historical decks. That's like in my brain, like that would be like, okay, now I'm kind of sort of done. Anything new that comes in, if I get it, it'd be because I like the art, but I'm not going to buy it. I'll just add it to the wish list. So okay. But it's a personal challenge for me to refocus my energies, so that I'm not randomly browsing through decks. And I know maybe some of you might be asking yourselves, well, you're a mod in a really big tarot group. And I think the oversaturation for me kind of just makes me go, it's there, it's okay. I don't need it. I could live vicariously through the images. I don't need to have it in my hands, So I think I'm in a good headspace for 2020 to be a no buy year. The tarot card that stalked you in 2019 and why? I did not have a stalker card. So the one card that I did pull the most of in 2019, well, see, I don't really have a stalker card though. I shared my tarot journal, and I do track my dailies all the time. The 2 cards that I pulled, so let's see, I think it was Aeon and Magician were my 2 highest pulled major cards for 2019, which make a whole lot of sense. I had 2 surgeries, I bought a house, I lost a job, got a new job. There was a lot of changes going on in 2019 that definitely made it a new, or the Aeon would be like the judgment cards. It's like like they say, this the last days, but it was a lot of the last. It was the last, being like an apartment or a renter and becoming a homeowner. It was a lot of not, I'm not having, the uncomfortable thing going on with my previous, condition. I feel way better now. So it was the last days of suffering. So there was just, those 2 major cards really made a lot of sense. And the Magician was just like, I just had to keep it moving, and I had to keep like, and go, this is what I've been wanting to do for the past decade, and here it is culminating, and you gotta like keep it working and keep it moving and keep it happening. So I did that, and I thought it was so then as far as court cards go, all right, so I'm gonna, the Princess of Swords was my highest pulled, or the Page of Swords was my highest pulled court card. And then for minor cards, it was the Nine of Cups. That was, so that's like the wish card, right? And so I didn't feel like I pulled it that many times, but the tracker says I did, so I did. And a lot of wishes did come true. Hey, look, I even got a whole engagement ring too, so that's great, right? So it's been a whole year. Now, I didn't have a stalker card. The reason why I was telling you all of that stuff is because I had an anti-stalker card. I had a card that did not come up for me all year long, the Queen of Cups. But it makes sense because everything was very strategic, very survival mode, very logical, very practical. There was little room in there for me to even stop and meditate. Things were shifting and moving. And listen, I like my routine. I'm a Taurus. I like my routine. And you guys even know because I haven't even been making videos like that all year because things were very tumultuous. So there it is. I had an anti-stalker card. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you guys, but yeah, the Queen of Cups was a damn no-show. Okay, she don't love me no more. What tarot books did I read in 2019? Oh my God. Listen. I'll leave my Goodreads link in the bottom and tell you what I read, so that you can see what I read in 2019, because I read a whole lot of books. I read Tarot Decoded. I read The Lost Art of Ancient Tarot, I think it is. That one was really good. I had a lot to do, like more Marseille style. I don't remember what else. Those are the two that stick out in my head. I feel like there was something else though. Anyways, I did read a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, I read a lot of tarot and astrology books, and a lot of sci-fi books. So off the top of my head, those are the ones I remember, and they were both pretty good. So yeah. Okay, the most memorable reading in 2019. Well, I'll give you a quick one that happened the other day, but it's a little bit of tarot and Lenormand. So the first two cards was the Ten of Wands and the Hangman, and I had like a hangover because I was partying the night before. So tarot was really like on point with that. They're like, well, you're hungover, just whatever. Have a rest day, right? But then I pulled the Fox and the Ring, and in Lenormand. So Fox means sneaky, and ring could be commitment, or it could be a actual ring, because it could be literal like that sometimes. So I'm cleaning up my office. I'm trying to organize for the new year what decks I want to use and what's new and what I haven't used yet, all that kind of stuff. And my hubby comes over and he's like, hey, let me get your ring, which I know you guys have seen the sapphire ring that I had. He said, let me, I'm cleaning the jewelry, so let me clean your ring. And I said, okay. So then I go down to get something to drink, and I see he has the door closed in the bathroom. So I'm like, why the hell does he have the door closed? Like, so I thought that that's what the Fox and the Ring were talking about. So fast forward to that evening, I wanted coffee because it's nasty cold out here. I wanted something warm, and we have like these little puff pastry things. And he says to me, so I go to make the cups of coffee to get those set up, and he brings the tin over that the puff pastries were in, and I was like, go ahead and serve us the puff pastries. And he was like, no, I'll let you do the honors or whatever, because I was the one who was really excited about having these things. So I'm like, okay, I made the coffee. I opened the tin, and this ring is sitting in there. So he was being sneaky about the ring. So that was like really memorable. Obviously, that would be super memorable. But basically, the first thing I was like, of course, you know, I'll marry you and all that kind of beautiful romantic stuff. And then the very next thing I told him, I said, my card's told on your ass. He was like, what? I said, yes, I pulled the freaking fox and the ring, and there you are being sneaky trying to hide some stuff. So anyway, so that was pretty memorable, and it was a good memory, you know. And so I thought that was, you know, that was good. You know, I love how that happens. So tarot decks, it says share some of your tarot decks that have been long lost in your collection that you want to reconnect with. My Morgan Greer. I'm not even gonna lie. I pulled that one out. As soon as I read the question, I was like, my Morgan Greer. Because my Morgan Greer, I had one of those literal death card came, somebody passed away moments, because it does happen sometimes. So let's be realistic. But of course, it was a reading for myself, whatever. But I had to sit that pack down for a while, you know. But the thing is it gives really great readings. So, you know, so for those of you guys don't know what the Morgan Greer looks like, beautiful baby right here. These are the backs. And everything just looks really nice and zoomed in. Every time I do 31 days of tarot, my tarot table looks like a whole hot mess after I'm done. It looks like who done it and why. So this is the Morgan Greer. It's a oldie, but a super goodie, you know. So I want to reconnect with this one. So I did move this one over for decks to work with in 2020. And really, you guys have seen, I've been trying to like cull my quote working collection, which just means these are the ones that I kind of come back to over and over, that I'm always like, where is it? I need this because I'm trying to show somebody something, explain something, or they're good all the way around. You can read, because a lot of people that I've noticed have done, they'll have a deck for like different, like for love readings, for this kind of reading, for that kind of reading. And I think it's more practical to have, just a personal opinion, have decks that are very versatile. And so the more versatile the deck, the better it is to read for career or love or this or that. So, you know, I don't know why, but I love that Fourth Cup so much. So anyway, so that's the Morgan Greer. That's one I want to reconnect with. Oracle of Oddities I want to reconnect with. I've had it for a long time. And I don't really reach for Oracle decks that much. So that's an Oracle deck that I want to touch base back with. My Albino Weight I want to reconnect with. I love my Albino Weight. So I used the original Rider-Waite-Smith a lot in 2019. So I want to use the Albino Weight a little bit more in 2020. And that's the one with like the crazy colors. Okay, I'll show you. And then there's only one more after that. I'm trying to limit it. It's so hard to limit it. But anyways, here's Albino Weight. It's really great for reading it with Elemental Dignities, because you get like you can see the colors right away, you know. Oh, I love it so much. Oh. So, Albino Weight. Okay, can you tell I read reversals? Alright, so that's the other one. So those are very two kind of classic-y-ish decks, you know what I mean? But one I do want to reconnect with too, that I think I got it in 2018, and then I didn't really use it all that much in 2019, surprisingly. And this is what happens when you have a big collection, you forget you have stuff, is the Texture Tarot. I when I pulled this out, I was like, I forgot how much I liked you. So I have this one on deck, no pun intended, to reacquaint myself with in 2020. So I'm going to add these to the rotation, you know, and see how they come. This one has been pretty universal too, you know, even though it has like a different style to it and stuff like that. I like that. Um, it does have a different vibe and feel to it, but it does read very beautifully. I just want to reconnect with it. It has that earthy, muted, cool thing going on, you know. And then as far as Wade Smith decks go, I also Pam's Vintage. So yeah, I think I'm being boring in 2020, and I think it has a lot more to do with it. You know, I don't want to say boring in a sense, but what works all the way around works all the way around for me. So there's that. All right, you know, and I'm just trying to keep these short and sweet. Things kind of shift. You guys know how that goes. So let's see. The other deck, okay, that's long lost in my connection. Sorry, long lost in my collection. Is the high oh my god, the Tarot Illuminati. I'm sorry, but it's dogged. It is super dogged. That was my very first workhorse deck, and I keep it there for sentimental reasons. But I just want to kind of give a honorable mention to it because I use the hell out of it. All right, now it says, show us your favorite depiction of the High Priestess and why. Tabula Mundi, High Priestess, I really like. I don't know. I just love the pomegranate hearts on it, because it's like intuition and wisdom there's a how it functions for us gets passed down through our ancestors. So like the heart with the veins going, for me, that's like DNA, that's your ancestry, that's that inner voice, that inner knowing, that gut instinct of, hey, I know something, or I feel something, or even family secrets, because the priestess can mean secrets sometimes too, right? And all of that stuff. So that heart, you know, being like the DNA portion of it, and the pomegranate seeds are, you know, it's a fruit of like abundance and wisdom, and that wisdom, ancestral wisdom. And I do work with my ancestors a lot, so for me it pays like a homage to them, to tip of my hats to them. You know, being a reader and doing what I do stems from them, you know. So that's why I like that High Priestess. And then I love how the water becomes the veil for what's behind her, you know. And of course, the Tree of Life is there. You can see it if you pay really close attention to it. So I think this is a very beautiful, beautiful High Priestess card. One of my favorites. The divination tool outside of tarot that I use the most in 2019. Lenormand. All day. So this is the Destroy Dondorf. Anchor. House. Stars. Mountain. And I think for me personally, what I think I love about Lenormand is that it's the wordplay. It's the wordplay. So for some of you guys don't know this, but when I was younger, like I always wrote poetry, and you know, I did like underground hip hop, like 90s style underground hip hop back in the day, right? So I always had fun playing with words, looking through the thesaurus and trying to come up with that. And the way the system of Lenormand is, it is very much like, this means this means that. Here's word one, word two, put it together. What could that mean in the context of the question? Everything is always about the context and bringing it back to the question, whether it's tarot, Lenormand, whatever. But I think that's what I like about Lenormand. But instead of me using paper to write down what it all means when I'm doing a reading, sometimes it will come up. And so it's very oracular in the sense it's a oral system. It comes to life when you read aloud, and I think that that's what makes it fun, because it's like a freaking adventure every time. So when the cards say when I'm reading those cards, it's what the cards are saying. Possibility 1 or 2, or again, back to the context. Tarot is the same too. There are keywords, and so then I realized, well, I think my style of reading is very more straightforward, to the point, kind of like excuse me, like Lenormand. And so I realized that I even read tarot that way. I have my couple of keywords in my head, and I just kind of string it together. But with tarot, there's a lot more going on in the cards and the card imagery, that then I can then pull from things that pop out at me and add context to it. You know what I mean? Or add depth, or expand on something for the whatever. So anyways, Lenormand is my, my mistress. I use Astro Dice too, but that also just depends on what kind of reading I'm doing and what's going on. So where would I like to be with my tarot practice in 10 years time? I have a couple of ideas for books that I want to write. So I would like to become a tarot author. I am going to be a tarot author. I will proclaim it, okay? So I do have a draft manuscript that I'm working on right now. And of course, I do have my regular clients. I would like that to become a little bit more steady. And otherwise, that's it. Just, read my cards, teach where I can. I do like talking about tarot and teaching what I know to others about tarot, so that's always fun. But I still want to be around doing tarot in 10 years, and I don't think you could really ask for more. What that's going to look like really depends on the opportunities that present themselves. And I'm pretty much game as long as there's love and a mutual kind of understanding between myself and whomever projects and things might look like. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the short and sweet answer. Do I have tarot tattoos, art, home decor to share or want? I have the major arcana of Robledo's Marcella deck on my refrigerator. And then, of course, in this room, you can see I have these cards back here. That's the large 80 weight Smith deck there. I do have right on the wall behind me here, that is a Wheel of Fortune that Maria painted from Sacred Heart Tarot. She made that for me. And then I have the Tabula Mundi prints that you guys have seen. Your favorite pop culture tarot reader representation and why? Penny Dreadful. Because I feel like her shit is deep, right? Like her whole everything is like super, I don't want to sound kind of like weird about it, but her whole thing is like she's like a little bit tortured, and she goes through a lot spiritually. But that's what makes her deep, and that's what makes her messages real. And how can you heal others when you cannot heal yourself or face your own demons? And so I think that sends a really a message about, when people come to readers for readings and they want to hear what they want to hear, that's not how life works. So therefore, that's not how tarot works, because tarot is just a mini representation of life. That's it. Point blank, period. So you never know what a reader's going through, but they're putting their ego and their shit aside to help you heal and work through your situation. Have a little respect, dog. So that's what I like about Penny Dreadful, because it's just the deepness there. Paint, draw, collage, 2020 tarot card. Oh my! Well, I'll tell you what my card is. My card is the Hermit. That's why he's there. Um, the Hermit is my birth card. So, and it is also my card of the year for 2020. Using my birthday in 2020. So I have a couple of ideas of how I could implement that energy this year towards the goals that I have. What celebrity would you read for and why? I think it would be very interesting to read for. My hair is crazy. Sorry. I think it would be really interesting to read for Leah Remini. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen like the Aftermath series that she did, but I think it would be interesting more so not to just read for her, but to even have the conversation with her about what tarot is and how maybe it could like, and what her thoughts might even be on that, and how she would, would she be open to it? I would be enamored if that were to even become a whole situation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, her. Choice for best deck for meditation and journey work. For me, Thoth, Tabalumundi, and even Wade Smith, but I specifically like Hayworth Tarot for that. Even though it's really new, I think there's something about it that makes me automatically go into it and kind of journey through the pictures or the imagery. Excuse me. Your choice for best deck for ritual or ritual and okay, so the Orisha Tarot for me is a very personal and spiritual deck for me, so I use that for my own for my own process. Since I have a bunch of Wade Smith decks, I don't mind using those for intentions either. And again, Thoth and Tabalumundi. Tarot ceremonial magic is actually really good too, to use if you know what all the symbols and all the things are, because it's kind of right on the cards. But ultimately, ultimately, for my personal rituals, I use the Orisha Tarot to divine whether or not I should do a certain type of spell work. Okay. That's just something that I do in my culture. If I want to do some kind of spell work, there's you kind of have to, tip your hat to, okay, ask the ancestors, ask the Orisha, hey, am I good to do this or not? And if they tell me no, then it's no, and I keep it moving, because maybe it's not whatever. It's just how it works for me. So, so that's what it is. Favorite depiction of the Lover's card. I have to say the Thoth, because there's a vagueness about gender. There's a nod to diversity. There's a nod to marital love, a nod to familial love. Kids love innocence, innocent type of love, because there's like kids on there. You know, I don't know. I think it kind of covers the whole, like, if you're talking about love for love's sake, that love is really way more expansive than we like to try and compartmentalize it. Then we also have the other side of the coin, where it's about choices, or, the more logical nature of making choices of who you stay connected with, and how you present that love and stuff like that. Sorry, my voice is getting just a little bit hoarse. I apologize for that. My favorite 3-card tarot spread, and why is it your favorite? I like Elemental Dignities. I think that's more of a technique than anything. I like starting off with that with 3 card spread because you get a lot of details from it. You see you start big with the energies and then you go into the details with the imagery. And then you can see what's present and then what's lacking. So a lot of bases get covered just using that technique. And then of course I do like reading it in a linear fashion, like a storybook or, stills or whatever. Again, it's all about the question at hand that really makes Elemental Dignities very versatile. So that's why I like using that. Let's see. Top 5 decks of 2010 to 2019. Top 5 Oracle decks of 2010 to 2019. So I'm going to have to make separate videos for those. Just to give myself some time to just maybe double think about maybe an impression a deck left on us in general, but I know I stick to the 3 any Waitsmith really, the Thoth and any TDM. For me, I like the Dodal. I gravitate towards that one. And the other 2, I don't know. I probably rotate, so I'm gonna have to come back on that one. See, with the Oracle decks, I'm gonna tell you, I've gone through a lot of Oracle decks. My Rumi deck I always use is more of a meditation thing. The Soul cards, Oracle cards, because I'm just looking over here at my little section of what do I have on hand. The Chris Ann's Oracle deck, the one that she came out with before Light Series even came out. Sacred Creator Oracle. I love that deck so much. It's so good. And then, but besides those, like, Oracle decks and Oracle of Oddities, is all Lenormand, because Lenormand is a system and I really enjoy systems. So I like astrology, I like tarot, and I like Lenormand because they all have different, there's rules, right? And so when you have rules and you learn the rules really, really good, you know how and when you can break them or bend them or break them or navigate through them. And I enjoy that. But it is what it is. If you could meet any tarot creator, author, who would it be and when? I don't know if you're talking about people who are around right now. I would love to meet Pablo Robledo in person and kind of go see like the process of him making the woodcut decks. And he does share little snippets and stuff like that, but I think it would be cool to have like a whole day of maybe seeing like how they're made and the inking technique and the wrapping tech, like all of that stuff. I would love to see that. I think that would be cool because it would feel like I stepped back into history and seeing how the original Tarot de Marseille decks were at some point created. You know what I mean? So I think that would be really cool. Show us your tarot journal if you have one. I still do the same thing. I have a spreadsheet. It looks exactly the same. I just update it for each year. And then in my bullet journal, which has literally everything in it, from day-to-day stuff to everything in it, that's where I kind of do some hashing out of things with readings and whatnot, so I'm not going to share that. I'm sorry, that's private. What's the strangest place you read tarot in the last decade? I don't know. I think most places have been pretty normal. I don't want to say strange, but maybe on the plane, on the way to a tarot meetup. It's not super strange, but hey, I read tarot in the air, so there's that. Ever turn someone from a tarot non-believer to a tarot enthusiast? Well, I sure hope I have. And then your top 5 underrated tarot decks. I'm gonna have to come back to that one too. mm, I think, okay, no, I'm not gonna come back to that one. I think a lot of the old classics are underrated. You know, there's so much choice out now. There's so much like decision vision that people come in and they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start, and you can't go wrong with classics. So I think those right at the current moment, with the zeitgeist, it's the underrated decks are the classic decks, are the kind of the staples of why tarot is what it is now, which is your boring, dogmatic, Taurisy, Hierophant person. Good advice, boring as fuck, whatever. Wade Smith, Thoth, and the TDM. Those are your 3 classic, like, gold standard for tarot. And then everything else. Learn, like, anything that's out there is probably inspired by or a result of one of those systems. So just know that if you're new going in, that, you know, that although it seems that maybe everybody uses it or people talk about it, and then so it's like becomes underrated because there's so much other things out there and available. And sure, get what you connect with. I'm not telling you to not do that, but just I think they're underrated because of that, or they're misunderstood, or whatever the case is. For sure, for sure. And yeah, no, that's it. That's the top 3 that are most underrated. You know, Morgan Greer is a really old classic. So that'd be number 4. It's Wade Smith based, but it was an old classic, something that was different, available on the market. I think Robin Wood was one of those. Aquarian was one of those. You know, those are just was what back in the 70s. You know, so all right, I'm rambling again. I'm gonna keep it moving. Listen, I'm getting through it. I'm getting through it. If y'all rock with me this long, I love y'all, and I look forward to watching your guys' videos. What tarot card do you feel best represents me, art, meaning, vibe, and why? Um, I don't know. I have a Queen of Pentacles kind of thing going on. I have a Queen of Wands thing going on. If we're talking about court cards, um, I don't know. Can you guys tell me in the comments what card do you feel represents my energy in this video right now? Because you know, Emperor is corresponds to Aries, and Aries, is my moon sign in tropical, and in sidereal it's my sun sign. So there's that. So Emperor is all up in the mix, which is cardinal fire, which would be for court cards the Queen of Wands. So I feel like that's very prevalent there. I could be a little fiery, a little spunky, but I also am very practical. So that Taurus thing would be the Hierophant, you know, and speaking with conviction and being practical and wanting to share my wisdom with people and all that kind of beautiful stuff. You know, do I have my moments of being dogmatic? Oh, sure I do. Sure I do. I think we all do sometimes. But I try to rein it back and catch myself. If you notice, I always go, it's my opinion. It's not a fact, right? So, okay. So probably those, I guess. You guys let me know. And then, oh wow, I went through this whole thing in under an hour. Yay! The only thing I have to share with you guys after this on a separate video is going to be the goodies that I got for the holidays. So, you know, that'll be a different video. So what are your tarot goals for 2020? Well, I want to focus on getting back into creating content for the channel. Make it a little bit more focused on teaching what I know than what new things I have bought, you know, and because that was always really part of the intention. So working on that, of course, keeping that working in tandem with the website, and continuing to do readings for my clients, and just, getting back, really for me, 2020 overall, though, even aside the tarot stuff, is getting back into a whole rhythm and a whole structure again, because 2019, it knocked me off of every axis I ever built, but in the best way ever, So thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and listen to me ramble and talk about tarot. I hope you guys have a very blessed, wonderful, amazing, astounding, abundant 2020. And I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces and listening to all the wisdom that you have to share and soaking it up and all that stuff. And I will catch you on the next video. Much love, many blessings. Peace.